One job, one package. Packaging is one of the keys way that we extract value from our product into our customer base, right? Or the way we deliver value from a product into our customer base. So you can have a monolith where just like everyone buys the product, or you can separate it into like a basic, advanced, premium version, or however it is, modules, add-ons, all these things. What I so often see is that people say, well, the product is this. So essentially they have the monolith in mind. Like, this is the full solution. And then they try to create less good versions of that. Sometimes that's called a good, better, best model, like a basic, premium, advanced version of packaging. And I don't think it works for several reasons. But let me show you one example for how this works. So this is a slide from a workshop that the example is also in the book that is coming out this April 2023, where I recorded this video. I was working for a large German industrial conglomerate, and they were doing the hardware, the logistics facilities used to run all the sorting systems. So think like large e-commerce warehouse with all the machinery that sort of moves packages around. These were the guys that were building and installing and managing this for the logistics companies. So they had built a data analytics software tool to go along with all the hardware, and they now wanted help with monetizing and selling this. And the packaging they had come up with was like this. So they said, well, we are going to have 4 tiers. And so the most basic version that we can sell to a customer is that we want to describe the data. So we have the data in the machines, we pull it out and we show it to the customer. Then in the next tier we call diagnose, we are now going to diagnose the data, which means that we're essentially going to explain what the data means to the customer. So we're going to create different ratios. We're going to sort of like turn it into KPIs and sort of BI type dashboards that we can then show. Then thirdly, in predict, we're going to simulate what will happen next. So let's say that you're an airport and you're running the logistics facilities, and you can say, well, you really have like a lot of luggage coming through Terminal 2, which means that, in 20 minutes, you're going to have like a bottleneck downstream somewhere in the luggage handling system. Okay, so that's the prediction. And then fourth, they want to do prescribe, where essentially they can run different kinds of simulations, like what if you expanded Terminal 2? What if you expanded Terminal 1? And then by running scenarios, they can pick the best one, meaning that they can say, well, the best use of your funds or the best use of your personnel right now is to go and work in Terminal 1 because that's where you have the bottleneck, and so forth. They tried to sell this to their customers and it hadn't really worked. And then I asked why. And they said, well, let's, for example, for airports, but really sort of for any type of customer that we sell to, we have this situation where we talk to 3 different stakeholders in the organization. We talk to the maintenance guys, we talk to the operations guys, and then we talk to the management team. So we're explaining these sort of 4 levels of product to them. And then we're saying, well, so which one do you want? And then we get into an issue because they don't want the same thing. So what really want to happen is that maintenance wants prescriptive maintenance, or no, so predictive maintenance, because that's what maintenance is all about. If you can predict when something breaks down, you can get there like 5 minutes before, shift out the spare part, or oil the machinery, or whatever, and then you have the most efficient and sort of cost-reduced maintenance that you can have, which is the point of maintenance. The point of maintenance is to have nothing break down at the least possible cost. Great. Operations, however, usually, in this case, they were so sophisticated that they just wanted the data out of the machine. So essentially, they wanted to describe, and then they had their own BI dashboards and everything that they needed. So they didn't want anything else. So they didn't want to predict. Management, however, likely either wanted nothing. They just wanted to describe like operations did, or they wanted prescribe. They wanted to do the full simulation setup that they had. So my customer said, okay, so we could do that. We could do something like this, right? We can really give everyone a configurable solution where they get to buy whatever they want. Okay, that's an option. And then I said, well, okay, so for maintenance, you can have 4 different options. And then for operations, you're going to have 4 different options. And then for management, you're going to have 4 different options. So that is what? 4 to the 3rd degree. So 4, 8, 16, 16, 22, 64 different configurations just for a single customer. They also had a few add-ons like premium support. So do you have premium support or not? That takes 64 options to 128 options. They had, I think, 2 more add-ons. So suddenly we had like 500 plus different configuration options with their clients. This was an issue because In reality, they maybe didn't have 500 clients globally that they could sell this to because it was pretty heavy bespoke enterprise software. So suddenly we had more product configurations than we had potential market. So that's a clear misfit, right? Then I asked them, okay, what gets you in the door? What creates the demo? What's the first sale? What's the point of first demand? And they say, well, that's always maintenance that wants to talk predictive maintenance. That's how we get in the door. That's always the first meeting. That's what they have the most interest for. And then we, of course, show them all the value that we can bring to the rest of the organization. Okay, great. I said, well, why don't package like this horizontally? Just create a package called maintenance, and then create a package called operations, and then you can do management at the end. So then we take the same features, the same functionality, same solution, and we repackage it not around the technology and the expansion of, let's say, oh, we're going to do like very basic data processing stuff, and then we're going to do more advanced data processing stuff, and then we're going to do, all the way through the end of the most advanced data processing stuff, machine learning and so forth. Instead, what we say is, well, we know that you have maintenance issues. That's what your job is. That's where the demand is, and we're going to package around that. So whatever we can do to solve maintenance for you is what the first package is about. So now we're taking the product and refocusing on the customer's need. And then we're saying, well, once we solve maintenance, do you also have some operations issues that we can solve? That's the upsell. That's the next package, and so forth. So by doing it this way, you know that there's going to be a specific budget for the red package, right? For maintenance, because maintenance has its own budget. Operations has its own budget, and so forth. Which means that instead of going across different budgets and stakeholders that needs to agree on the product, because essentially the first version of packaging where you just do diagnose, describe, and so forth, that's just a toolbox. So you're just handing them a bunch of tools, and then the customer has to pick them up and figure out how to do maintenance and how to do operations and so forth. Instead, you're saying, well, no, I'm not giving you a toolbox. I'm giving you a specific solution. I'm giving you maintenance. And then that is much easier for the customer to, 1, understand, 2, for you to sell, 3, for you to price, because maintenance has a very easily quantifiable value because they already have KPIs. They already have a budget. They already know what kind of ROI they're aiming for inside maintenance. So you can say, well, if you have, 100 million euros at stake and we can improve that 15%, is that worth 15 million euros to you? And would it then be okay that we just charge 150,000? So 1% of the perceived value. And I'm not saying these numbers are right, but the logic is there for everyone to see, and you're not complicating it by pulling in operations and pulling in management and support. Those you get to monetize right after. You're saying, oh, and your operations is worth whatever, billion euros, and we can improve that maybe only 5%, and so forth. You can have the conversation again, and you can reprice that new scenario, that new source of demand with the customer. So one package, one job, meaning that there should be a specific demand and solution inside each of the packages that is very confined. And then even if you need to do all of your advanced features in that first package to solve maintenance, do that. And just twist it a little to then do operations right next to it, because really it is in the application of the toolbox, the way you set it up, the way you targeted the customer's organization that really is going to create the value. And that's the differentiation. So packaged around jobs / sources of demand. And these are not problems. People have lots of problems for which they have no demand to actually solve. There's a difference. A job is a problem that is being chased by money in the customer organization. So they already have demand for it. So it's those two things, problem plus money or activity directed at solving the problem. A problem in and of itself is not enough. So job is problem plus money / demand. And that's what you package it around, give them what they want, essentially.